The Underground Tattoo Podcast is about all of the interesting tattoo artists out there. So you're a tattoo artist in LA.
Yep.
You're
Based in
at
LA. Yeah.
Proud of You Tattoo Studio, which is it's a scratcher friendly licensed studio. So you
Oh,
are
totally.
legit, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
cool.
we're everything. We're very inclusive, which I really enjoy. It's super cool. There's people from like all over the world coming, doing some awesome stuff, and yeah, super friendly towards scratchers, which is awesome. Which I mean,
A lot of
honestly,
people do their first guest spot there, and they
yeah.
don't just let in anyone. It's like a big accomplishment to like
Oh, for
come,
sure.
yeah, to come up and throughout like anywhere in the US or the rest of the world to be able to like make a name for yourself, come up and like, ask to come guest and come out to LA and guest spot at Proud of You. It's a big deal, you know?
Yeah, it's a cool shop. I really like the people there. I love the artists. I love the vibes. I mean, I've been here. I've been at Proud of You for a while, so I'm pretty
Proud of
excited
You
about it.
it's interesting to have like, okay, there's a world of like guests. So guests are, it's just like any other DIY friendly studio. You just come and work for 2 or 3 days, pay shop cut. I think it's 20% there if I recall. Maybe 25, 30.
It might be 25.
Why would you
Not,
know?
yeah, it's
You're resident.
different for yeah.
Right, right. But and oh, but for residents, you guys have a little bit different deal, I think, than most studios. So like, I always call this a trade-off. Proud of You
Mhm.
has I always tell other young studio owners who are opening their first studio, Proud of You is actually really successful because of a few things. They are consistent.
Yes,
And they
super important.
never out of supplies.
Yeah,
The supplies are always there. The printer is always there. Someone's
yeah,
open to close, dealing
yeah,
with clients, making sure artists have what they need. There's never
yeah.
artists,
It's super important for me, at least. I mean, like the shop is super clean. I'm kind of like
right,
very
cleaned every
anal
day.
about cleanliness. Yeah, cleaned every day. Everything's kind of organized really nicely, clean,
Right.
sanitary, and I think those are like huge things for me.
Yeah, because it's
So
like you got to have that consistency so you can lock in and focus on what you do. You know what I'm
totally,
saying?
yeah,
So, but I feel like the trade off for that is Proud of You has like business like agreements, right? Like so for a residency, like is like you can't just like leave or go wherever, right? Like you
yeah,
can't just guess
yeah.
wherever.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can guess wherever outside of LA, so it's like go wherever you want in the world. But I
Oh,
feel like
really?
our home base is LA. Yeah,
Cool. Okay, so it's like an exclusive, like part of the residency is exclusive with that studio you're at, right? And
yeah,
you get a lot of privileges with that. It's like being listed as a resident, and you usually get better
exactly.
rates and stuff. Cool. So tell us, so you've been there a couple of years.
Yeah, I think I've been there since 2020, actually.
Yeah.
Right at the beginning of the pandemic, it was super great. Started working there, and then all of a sudden,
So you've
LA was
mostly
like,
been at the same studio though.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I've
yeah.
guessed it around here and there, but
You have
uh,
done some guest spots.
yes, I've done some guest spots. I've done some guest spots in London, in New York, kind of random places. But I do love Proud of You. I feel like I just keep coming back, and I'm like comfortable, and I love
Yeah. It's like,
everybody and everything there.
yeah, man, you got to be able to lock in like that's the one thing DIY studios miss is overlook is that the consistency is everything. So, but anyway, tell us about your story. So, where are you from originally?
Okay, so I grew up in Lebanon for almost 18 years. My whole life, my whole existence slash
What was it like living in
sentience.
Lebanon?
Super different. Um,
Is this a smaller country or
oh, it's tiny. Yeah,
tiny?
Lebanon from like pole to pole is like 3 hours with no traffic, so you can kind of just like the county of LA is about the size of the country.
Yeah. What's the like
Um,
economy there like? The
oh,
political
awful,
climate? Yeah, really bad.
terrible, terrible, terrible. All of those things terrible. Political climate is unfortunately very much tied to all of the conflict going on.
hmm
There was a revolution a few years ago, protests and everything. They were like looting ATMs. So the currency kind of like crashed. And so now, like, financially, it's doing terribly.
You still got family there, right?
Yeah, my dad's still out there. My, well, yeah, my dad, my cousins, and then most of my family kind of moved out. My brother lives in London, hence why I go to London relatively frequently.
Ah, yes, yes.
And my mom moved out to California not too long ago,
Oh, cool.
to kind of be near me. She's like about 2 hours away ish.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went to like what kind of school did you go to there?
I went to multiple schools, but one of which was probably the one I spent the most time in. I would say like maybe like sixth to 12th grade. I was in Catholic school.
Like
They,
conservative, like
oh
Catholic
my God,
school?
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, the whole country is conservative, so that kind of is like the baseline is
Yeah.
conservative. So yeah, super Catholic school, very like intense. We had nuns and priests, and our like headmaster was like a priest, and they were very conservative, close-minded, and uh yeah, I mean, I feel like kind of the standard whenever people talk about Catholic school is just like there
What was it
wasn't
like? What was it like though, like being a woman there?
um not ideal, I guess. It's yeah, I feel like I mean, I grew up there, so I didn't know much. I feel like when I
Sure.
moved out here is kind of when I realized how different things were and like how people were treated and like how like subjects were handled and yeah, there was a lot of just patriarchy oppression or the patriarchy like oppressed. There was a lot of like nobody takes you seriously, no one listens to what you say, you're kind of just the woman, you have no rights. You I mean you have rights, but obviously like the men have more rights. For example, my dad is probably I'm 30 years old and my dad is probably still able to do a lot of things in my name in Lebanon because he's my father.
Yeah.
Same with my brother, and like the men in the family kind of get priority, I suppose. So
Hmm.
like a lot of the things you'd think would not be able to be done. Like
Is that so? It's like hard to get a job there as a woman. Hard to get
it's hard to
like
get yeah, it's hard to get a job as a woman. It's hard to do a lot of things as a woman, but there's also not that many opportunities. Like art
right.
isn't a huge thing out there.
Hmm.
I think it's becoming more recently. I feel like there's a little bit more of an underground scene in both like art and like queer culture, which is miles
Hey,
from
the
where
underground art tattoo revolution that happened,
yeah.
and like I mean, it's been going on, but it spiked in 2020, and it wasn't
Yeah.
just in the U.S. Man, it's global. We're talking
Yeah, yeah,
worldwide
yeah.
movement.
No, which is crazy because like it's what Lebanon is like miles behind in terms of like art and like I mean we have like maybe two museums in Lebanon, which I've always loved going to, but it's not as big of like a culture, you know, like it's kind of looked down upon when you tell people from Lebanon that you do art. They
It's
see
like that
you as
in parts of the U.S. big times. Like I'm from the
yeah.
Midwest in the U.S. And in rural America, it is totally the same. I mean, we call it anti-intellectualism.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing, and it's like if you try to use like speak well, if you speak clearly, or you use anything that's like a bigger word, or you like appreciate art and culture, you get
Hmm.
like attacked. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh
people are
yeah,
just like
totally.
they take it as a personal slight.
Yeah, they're
You
like
know?
condescending towards you, and
Right.
it's very much like that in Lebanon as well. I mean, when I told my family that I went to film school actually, so I basically graduated high
So
school in Lebanon,
okay. So
and
did you
then
get like a scholarship or like what? Like how did that work? So you finished high school, but like did you know what you wanted to
so
do?
I've always loved film. I still do love film. Like it'll always hold like a special place in my heart. Um, and I basically graduated high school, and I think the one thing that I knew for sure was that I wanted to leave Lebanon, and I was like, all right, in order to do film school, I'm gonna have to get out. There's maybe like one film program in Lebanon, and it's not like super great.
Hmm.
I feel like this was at the time too. This was like over 10 years ago. I think it's definitely like made strides since, but I wanted to
If
get
you're gonna
out and
sacrifice 4 or 5 years of your life, it's
yeah,
like why are you gonna throw it away at a school that's like not the best?
yeah,
I mean, that's crazy, right?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
how
yeah,
I feel
yeah.
about an apprenticeship. Like I'm still gonna do a tattoo apprenticeship one day. I'm
Hmm.
not gonna just go do it wherever.
I don't know that you need it, honestly. I mean, I
I
think
want it. I
I
would do
respect
two
that.
or three apprenticeships.
I
It's a
respect that.
privilege. You know,
Yeah.
like you don't want to go study under your hero for like a
No,
year.
I love that. I don't know that I see it. I know that it's probably like it's not gonna make any sense when I say this out loud, but I don't consider that an apprenticeship. I feel like the apprenticeship that I think of is very much just like basic, basic, basic. I think
Oh,
because
like it's
I never had an
specifically
apprenticeship.
an intro, like a beginner, like a way to
Yes.
learn from
Yeah, yeah,
scratch.
yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
closely tied to that. See, in my mind, I don't think about it like that. I don't think about an apprenticeship as like that's the step one to learning. I just think about apprenticeship as like you go study under a master for a year or two or whatever.
No, that's sick. I would love to do that
What do you? What
for the
would you
rest of
call
my
it?
life. I don't
Like
know if I
what
call it I like shadowing, I guess, or like I'm constantly learning. You're always learning.
mentorship?
Mentorship, maybe, yeah.
As you're right though, it's not a thing. I don't know why. I feel like it's not much of a thing. I feel like I would like once I have like enough like stability and privilege, like you better believe the first thing I'd do with it. Like if I like won the lottery tomorrow, I'd probably go like live humbly and go study under a master for a
Yeah.
year. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I'd be like
Yeah.
live in a little shack and like do all the
Mhm.
chores and just study for a year. Like that's the
Yeah, yeah,
dream.
yeah. Yeah, no, learning from, I mean, you're always, I feel like you're always saying like, oh yeah, like you're a successful tattoo artist and all that kind of stuff. And sure, but you're always learning. I mean, there's never a day that I tattoo where I feel like I don't learn something new. And I feel like the day that I stop learning, probably the day that I kind of give up on tattooing.
You know, I didn't think about that. You bring up a good point. Tattoo, there is no ceiling. It's
Hmm.
like it's not like you learn like a specific trade. Like let's say you wanted to go learn to be like a bricklayer or something. And it's like there's like a the
There's no
height of
cap.
that,
Yeah.
right? Like there, but there isn't like tattoo with art. It's like there's like a million ways to study, master different styles.
Hmm.
And like I'm sure the same as like bricklaying too. There's different types of like materials all around the world. But with tattoo, there's so many you never could do them all. So there's really
Yeah,
the
there's no way to actually ever successfully be able to do everything. And so it's always kind of nice to just like dip your toes, different parts of it, learning from other people. And I feel like I spend so much of my time. The reason I love Proud of You actually is because there's such a variety of like different artists and stuff. And it's so interesting to be able to just like in between tattoos, walk around the shop, look at what other people are doing and kind of like see their style and learn things that they're doing or why they're doing this. And I feel like there's never really a time in my life where I'm going to be like, I don't need this anymore. I don't need to watch you. I don't
you
need to learn.
you bring up a great point. So anyone who's like a newer artist or someone who hasn't traveled a lot, even people who have been an artist their whole life that haven't traveled a lot, that's one of the greatest privileges of being a tattoo artist is being able to study and learn from different cultures. Like I'm proud of you in LA or New York, like you're exposed to so much different styles and techniques and cultures.
Yeah.
And that's like, because tattoo transcends language. It transcends
Yeah.
borders, right? So
Yeah.
you get every day different languages, different ways of doing things, different ways of thinking. So you get exposed to that. And that's why it's so important to go travel, go guest spot. But with Proud of You,
Mhm.
you're where everyone
Yeah,
comes
you're
to.
kind of like the center hub. That's
Right.
part of the reason that I love it so much is that there's always people coming from Mexico, from South Korea, from kind of all over the place. I've actually tried to convince a couple of like Lebanese tattooers to come out and like guest at the shop, being like, "Oh, come guest at our shop." Like,
I'm always trying to get people to come down to Palos Verdes from like other
yeah, it's
countries.
fair. Kind of
So,
far.
so, so what was it like? How did you get out? How did you get out of there? You know, how did you get out of Lebanon? Because it's not easy to leave a place that has a bad economy, you know?
No, it's not easy. I guess I'm lucky enough that my parents got an education, kind of in the West. So
So they
both
were
my
planning on saving up and helping get you to into
yeah.
college, right?
I mean, yes and no. I also did like scholarships and like all that kind of stuff, like
Debt.
applications to shit. Yeah, debt, totally, totally. But yeah, I mean, my parents were supportive. I feel like it took them
So
by surprise at
what was it
first.
like though? You were like, okay, like you graduate high school and then you were
Yeah.
like, were you did you was it clean? Were you like all lined up? Like the second you graduate, you're gonna go to the
Oh,
US to a specific college or what were the
it
logistics?
was it was somewhat like that. I feel like the logistics of it where I kind of had to mentally prep my parents, where I was like, just so you know, I'm leaving. And they were like, no, 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 no. Eventually I kind of like had to convince them, like warm them up to the idea
Oh,
that
so it
it's
wasn't
the
like
best trajectory.
they weren't planning on shooting you off out of the country.
They weren't. They were hoping that I would stay. They had made me apply to the American University of Beirut, and they were like 15 minutes away from the house, great education, like we can see you all the time. And I was like, I will apply to make you happy, but I will not go. So I applied and got in, told my parents, good backup, I'm not doing it though. And then applied to a bunch of schools in the US because I actually applied to schools in London as well, because it felt like it was the midpoint for my parents, where they were like, "Your brother lives there. You can go kind of like 5 hour flight from Beirut, and like we won't have to go across the Atlantic to see you." And so I got into this school in London called London College of Communication, and my mom was like, "All right, let's go tour it. Let's go see how it is." So we went to check it out, and the program was quite scratchery, I suppose, in that like the director of the program was like, "Yeah, we don't per se teach you. You teach us as much as we teach you." And my parents were like, "We're not sending you to university for this." Um, Eventually I got into a couple schools in the US and I had to like work on the fam and I was like, okay, listen, like I'm gonna go to school in the US and I will come back for
So
vacations and
anyone
stuff.
who's got like a like you're talking about like breaking something crazy hardcore to your parents, like how did you do that? You like do you have like a little step by like a quick summarize like a few bullet points? Like what were the steps? Like how did you do that?
Uh so okay. Essentially the steps were very much just my parents knowing how miserable I was in Lebanon and like kind of dealing with years and years of me being like, I hate it here. I am unhappy. I can't be myself. I can't do what I want to do. I feel like I have to like be this person and it's not me and I want to
Step
leave.
one, communicate misery.
Step one, communicate misery. Constantly talk about how fucking frustrating it is to be you in this country. Step two, apply in secret. Step three, get in. Step four, show applications and say, you don't have a choice, I'm doing it.
So when it came when you were when you were like I can't imagine the anxiety. Like was there like a couple days you were gonna do it, but then you like bailed secretly?
Oh,
Like
I was
you're
in
like
100%. I was in since I was like 12. I was like, I'm getting out of here and I'm doing everything I can to get out of
I
here.
meant like bailed on telling them. Like the moment you were
Oh,
gonna tell them. Like was there like a night you had the paper ready and then you were like, nah, not today.
I mean, yeah, for a few of them, for a few, they got caught. I think like we don't have like a great mail system in Lebanon, which is
Okay.
absolutely insane. Because we don't have like physical addresses. It's absolutely ridiculous. The way you tell people how to come to your house is literally,
Some countries
oh
don't have
yeah,
birthdays. You know what I mean? Like people use
yeah.
like calendars different. It's different.
It is
Different
kind of
places.
crazy because like let's say you're ordering food, you're like, oh yeah, do you know where that church is? That's like in this neighborhood, and they're like, sure. And I'm like, well, you're gonna go past the church, two lefts, then you're gonna go around the dumpster, go down the hill, and that's where my house is. And so essentially, it's kind of the same system with like mail. So you're
Okay.
lucky if mail gets to you.
Hard to
Um,
hide the mail.
hard to hide the mail, exactly. So if mail ever reached you, the town knew about it. Essentially.
So did they
So
find out before you told them? Is that what happened?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they did. They kind of knew the minute they saw the letters, and then we had like a long conversation about it. And there was a lot of, you're not doing this, and a lot of me being like, try and stop me.
Okay.
It came around eventually. My mom was like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Like, for what you want to do, I want you to be happy. I want you to like, whatever you do, I want you to be the best at it. And that was like always the thing that she said. And she's like, I can't be the one to like keep you here because I feel like you're not going to kind of reach that point if we force you to stay here and you're going to resent us and we want to have a good relationship. So took a sec, but they got on board
How
and
long? Like a weeks, months,
like months. I would say
months.
months. Months until like my mom actually came with me. I went to Syracuse University, and so my mom flew out to upstate New York with me, basically dropped me off and cried for days. And I was like, it's okay. I'll call
Yeah.
you all the time. Like it'll be fine. Um,
So you got into what college did you end up going to?
so I ended up going to Syracuse University and I ended up going to the Visual and Performing Arts School. Went to studied film production, did it for about 4 years, and then graduated and basically knew that I was going to move out to LA because hub of like film. It's kind of like where you go where you want to start it all. Worked in film for maybe 4 or 5 years ish.
Oh,
Worked
really?
in
You were in the
yeah,
industry for that long?
yeah,
What
yeah,
was it
yeah. I
like
worked.
coming out to LA? Like how did you pick like how did you pick where to move to? Like where did you have a job first? Or did you just come out here?
I had an internship at first. So I basically graduated college and had an internship immediately where I moved out to Burbank,
Mm.
of all places. That was like my first LA experience. It was fine. It was just kind
There's
of
a lot
far.
of like work up in the valley and stuff too. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of studios out there too. I was close to like Warner Brothers and what else is there? Like NBC, bunch of other
Yeah,
shit.
NoHo Arts District, Universal. Like
Hmm.
it's like everything is more north. A lot of the stuff
Yeah,
is north.
it's either that or it's like Culver City. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, my internship was in Culver City. So did an internship for like a year there, got another internship. I feel like I was jumping from internships to
Were the
jobs.
internships paid or?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
they
I
were.
worked
Okay, so
for
you were just scraping by while you're doing it.
pretty much scraping by bare minimum. I think I remember looking at my salary one year and being like, how do people afford to live in this city? I don't
Yeah.
understand. Um,
A lot of
but yeah,
people live in their car now.
yes,
Like
actually,
straight up.
I've heard a lot about
Yeah, yeah. You
people
just
doing
get it.
that. And
It's like an like 24-hour fitness membership, and
I was
then
about to
you
say like a gym membership. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess if
Yeah.
you go to the gym memberships at like 7 a.m. in the morning now in the parking lots, everyone will be like getting out of their cars and stretching. And like,
Yeah.
it's like a campground now.
Absolutely insane. It's so impossible to live out here if you're kind of like middle class.
It's anywhere though. It's honestly, it's the whole country though. That's the thing. It's like, it gets worse than here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because
like
like, imagine
SF.
where there isn't an economy. Imagine
Right.
like that situation where it's really poor and there isn't even
Oh,
jobs.
totally.
Like, it's like in
Yeah.
Lebanon. So it's like, if that's happening in LA, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like
Oh,
imagine
totally.
some poor Midwestern town.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's kind of all over the place. I feel like you take
Hmm.
it for granted while you're in LA because it's like big, bustling city,
You
but
can live in your car without freezing to death. So it's like, honestly, it's better low key,
then
in
a
my
lot of,
opinion.
yeah. Yeah.
But, but anyway, so luckily you didn't have to do that. You probably got an apartment and did your internship. So you ended up getting
So
a
I got
good
an
job.
apartment and I had a roommate for about 2 years who started out as a stranger and uh
Ended up
became
being
really close
cool.
with him. Yeah, he was super cool.
So you found
Um,
someone, did you do like a sublet? Is that how you found a place or something? Or
yeah, pretty much. And he ended up being in the other room. He was lovely. He dealt with a lot. I got into a car accident that year actually. Ended up like,
really?
yeah, it was awful. I like broke my leg. I like fucked up a part of my lung. I had
Welcome to
like,
America. Everyone dies in
dude,
car
yeah,
accidents
that
here.
was, I didn't have health insurance at the time. I think it was like my first year outside of university. And I ended up having to pay, I think, over the years, about 40 grand in bills because
Welcome
it was
to
like,
America.
yeah, ridiculous. But it was, I mean, it was, my family was like super empathetic. And so my mom, my divorced parents, my mom and my dad both flew out for Christmas and stayed at my house with my brother who came from London and my cousins from Chicago because I couldn't travel.
What happened in
And
LA? Like you got in a car accident? Like,
ridiculous. I was on the highway and this one car just, everyone was going like 70, full
yeah.
stop on the highway, full stop. And four cars smashed into her, and I was kind of accordioned in the middle. I was like car three.
Oh, those are complicated because it's like it wasn't like you didn't necessarily rear-end anyone. It could have been the
Yeah,
person behind you that hit you first.
yes,
They can't
exactly.
prove that. Those are messy cases.
It was super messy. My car got totaled. Wild. But I was pretty depressed, and my whole family flew out, and my roommate at the time kind of just was very accepting and patient with every single member of my family staying with us.
Oh my God. Yeah. All of a sudden, this like Lebanese girl, like is your roommate. And then all of a sudden her family is like she's just laid up for like months with a broken leg. And then her family's just living
Yeah.
with you now.
Or just like refugees in this house, my divorced parents sleeping in my bedroom on opposite sides of my bed, my brothers like holed up in the corner. That was my dog, by the way.
What's your dog's name?
This is Pepper.
Pepper.
Pepper's
Welcome.
very sweet.
Meet the world, Pepper.
Pepper, say hello.
So, all right. That's crazy. So you were like, you couldn't work. Like you were in wheelchair, crutches. Like,
Crutches. Yeah. I was in crutches for a couple months. Um,
did you recover? Like, is your leg okay? Like,
yeah, leg was okay. Everything was for the most part easily recoverable. I think it was just a slow process. I'd say the lung was probably the worst part. I had like a tear in something in my lungs, so I was having a hard time breathing and sleeping and just very basic things. But that is to say, that was
was it
my
on the interstate?
it was on the five.
On the five? Wow. Five
Yeah.
west. Five. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
God, that's so American. You had the real American
No,
experience, you
yeah,
know?
that's I was deeply humbled in America just very quickly.
So you went back to work in the film industry. This is during your internship still?
Yeah, this was like in between internships, and then I got this job working for this company called Anonymous Content. They were lovely. They produced a
Oh
lot
yeah?
of things. Yeah,
Did
yeah,
they
they're great.
like why anonymous? Like they white labeling or like what did they do?
They they do producing, they do writing, they do talent management. So they do a little bit of everything. I worked in the talent management department, which
What'd you do there? Did you
I
have
was an
influencers you
assistant.
work with? You're an
Yeah,
assistant?
I was an assistant to a talent manager, to two talent managers
Hmm.
actually.
Cool.
One based in New York, one in LA, and
Oh,
based.
so you probably knew a lot about like what it takes to get a talent manager then.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
you gotta like
I considered going into like management because it was kind of like foot in the door, and I was like, oh, I could just kind of keep going in this trajectory.
well, it's hard once you're a talent manager, it's hard to get those connections of like brands want to hire an influencer, that's a very insider circle. You know what I
Yeah, that's a
mean?
very specific part of talent management, though. I feel like the management side that I worked on was very much in like production and Hollywood and like
Oh,
you
not
know
so much the influencer.
not so much in the influencer. Yeah,
Right.
so one of
That's
my
even harder to get into. Yeah,
oh
maybe
yeah
not.
yeah very very like big Hollywood industry stuff.
That's like,
With
it's all like men in their 60s pretty much own that space.
men in their 60s. Surprisingly, Anonymous had quite
50s.
a few badass women who worked
Oh,
there,
okay,
which
cool.
was
Fuck yeah.
nice. Yeah, which was awesome.
Cool,
One of
cool,
my
cool.
bosses was a woman, one was a guy. Um, but yeah, they were. It was a cool experience. I mean, like so far at this point, I'm still kind of like all in the film world. I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, yeah, you're an assistant.
Um,
That's how you start. Everyone starts
yeah,
as an assistant.
yeah,
Everybody.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And then I started doing production stuff like on the side, just to kind of like dip my toe into the production world. And I think that's kind of when I started realizing that it wasn't for me.
Like freelance on the side or like
Yeah, well,
self-produced
it's all considered not so much self-produced. It's all considered like freelance in a way
if you're
because
not in a
you
union
if you're
or
not in a union, yeah. I mean, even then, it's still considered freelance because you're kind of
sure.
jumping from project to project. There's no consistency.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, the only
Um,
consistency is TV shows, right?
yeah, and even then, it's not consistent. Like you don't know if you're going
Right,
to get picked up. You don't know if you're going to get canceled.
right. Yeah, that's the most, that's the, as consistent as it can get. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I guess
So yeah,
everyone starts as an assistant though. You writers, actors, everybody starts as an
everybody.
assistant. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been an assistant to multiple. I worked for Happy Madison for a little bit. I
Cool.
was an assistant at that as well. Just did
Did
random.
you want to make movies? Like, what
I
was your
did.
end game? You wanted to
My end
actually
game was to write and direct.
own your own IP, or like actually just like work for a
I mean,
like
either, I guess my own IP would be the ideal at the
sure,
time.
yeah. Did you
But
have any like independent short films at this time, or
I do. I have one. It was
just
my
one?
actual well, one that I've got a bunch of other ones that I did kind of like
That's what
on
I'm
the
wondering.
way
Like
to get
during
in
this
there.
time, were you hustling up? Like, were you making little short films on the side, or were you writing something? Like, did you have like a plan?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to write things. I was trying to work on like other people's stuff as well. And then I was trying to learn as much as possible of like the craft stuff that we didn't learn in university. So like I worked in the camera department for a while, and so learning how to like build camera rigs and kind of like understanding the math and like focusing and all that kind of stuff and learning all of the like technical stuff of camera, which was super interesting and kind of almost got me to stay in the industry. But that's also a boys club and
So what happened? What? So there was a shift. You were like, at some point, you were like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, would you share with us what
yeah.
happened? Was there a specific event? What?
So I wouldn't say a specific event. There was a moment where I found myself frustrated with the lack of creativity, and that was kind of like the large reason that I got into film was I wanted to do something creative and kind of like be able to make art for a living. And I felt like in the 4 or 5 years that I was doing it, it was all just like logistical, clerical admin shit. And I feel like I didn't have a creative outlet. And so I started just, I wanted to teach myself to do something with my hands. And so I briefly thought I'd get into like ceramics or, doing something like physically creating something and having an end product that you can be proud of. And that was something that I was missing. So
So you're an artist, but your life basically sort of just didn't work out so that you were in a position where you could create.
right.
And you kind of felt like that your whole life. It seems like every step of the way you didn't have a chance to do your thing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and I like I would always doodle, I would always draw, but I was kind of always under the impression that like you couldn't actually find success doing that.
And I guess you had a lot of the same problem I guess I had and a lot of people have is that you didn't know there was another way. Like
Yeah.
I didn't right, like no one if I knew what I knew now, like I could go back when I was a teenager, I could have been working on my first project and that would have
Totally.
been a pitch that I could have got
Yeah.
my next project funded. Like I didn't know how to do anything though. You
Yeah,
think
yeah,
like you
yeah.
said, you got to get into an industry, work your way up, become a
Right.
PA, then you got to land your first director's gig, assistant director. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
we're
and it's even like further,
right.
like those are so different. I like truly don't understand. I think in order to become a director of any kind, you either have to have some kind of success as an actor first, or truly be the luckiest person on the planet who's gotten like crazy funding.
Right. And it's like what we think is like our whole lives you're just taught you work hard and you work your way up. And that's
Hmm.
the only way. We don't know there's another way like that. We just don't know. So like, you wanted to be, you're an artist, you're determined. and you're like, I'm going to work my way up. If that's what it takes, if there's a million obstacles, I'll go over
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, yeah. And that was
And
kind
that
of
means, but that's like the working class, like propaganda. Like that's the lie though. Like
it's the
work
lie.
hard, be a
Exactly.
good person and
Yeah.
things will work out and you work
Yeah,
your way up,
exactly.
which is completely profoundly untrue.
No, absolutely untrue. You could be the most talented, incredible person on the planet if you don't have luck or I don't know, that one little thing that kind of instigates the whole thing, you're fucked because you just don't go anywhere from there. You can just be stuck being absolutely incredible.
Right. There's a way to do things like, but you have to know how, you know? So what happened though? Like what made you switch?
I bought a tattoo machine on a whim because a friend of mine was like, oh, you love to draw. Like, I'll let you tattoo me. And I was like, that's a bad idea. It's a really bad idea. And he was like, yeah, but the offer still stands. If you want to teach yourself, like, I'll be your first guinea pig. And I was like, you know what? Why not? It's an experience I'll never get otherwise. So don't do this. But I bought a shitty machine off of Amazon. And then I spent maybe months just like learning before I actually like did anything serious. I spent like months just like learning how to set it up, and I wanted to be super anal about like cleanliness. My mom's
So
a
you
dentist.
actually, oh, and your mom's a dentist?
So mom was a dentist, and she is very she's a germaphobe, kindly. So essentially my whole life I've been raised by a germaphobe, and I kind of understand all of the like the things that come with blood and cross contamination and kind of just like passing on like bloodborne pathogens. And so I kind of knew that early on. And so when I started tattooing, I was like, I need to try my hardest to never ever risk anyone's well-being. So I spent a lot of the portion of that just like learning how to like clean things and wrap my machine and like
So let me get this right though. So you had a day job,
yes.
you ordered a tattoo machine online, and then
Yep.
over the next couple months after work, which is called moonlighting,
Right.
you after work during that time, your extra time, extra quotation marks, you were working on learning the tattoo.
Yeah, yeah, it was kind of crazy. I feel like I'd get home at like 8 or 9 p.m. and then I would tattoo from like 9 p.m. till like 1 or 2 in the morning. But it didn't feel like you know, when you go home and you have like another job and you're like, oh my God, I'm so stressed. Like, I have so much work to do. I basically would come home and I'd be like, I get to tattoo, or I get to like draw, or I get to do something that I love doing. And so just practicing on fruit, I tattooed some bananas, I tattooed a honeydew, and then kind of was just like, oh, I feel like I have a pretty okay idea when it comes to fruit. Like, I'd love to try skin. And I ended up tattooing a friend of mine, and I felt awful at first because I don't know how to describe the sensation of like holding a needle to someone's skin and being like, now I cause you pain. And I think having to kind of like disassociate from that and be like, all right, there is an end product to this, and if you don't go deep enough, the ink's not going to be in there and you're just hurting him for no reason. So there's a lot of like mental kind of like hurdles to get over, and gave him a really shitty tattoo. Uh,
I feel like when you go to start tattooing people, I feel like it's 10 times more shaky than you think, no matter how much you
totally.
prepare. And then you're
Yeah.
like, it doesn't want to go in, like the ink doesn't want to go in, you can't
Yeah.
see anything. It's like
You're tattooing like gelatinous skin essentially, and if you're not prepped or you don't know what that's like, essentially you're like this needle's going in and like vibrating and like shaking and the skin's all loose, and if you don't know what you're doing, it's terrifying.
yeah. Yeah, it's just the hardest thing ever. Like tattooing is just like impossibly hard. I feel like there's no way around it. Like the first couple
No.
tattoos you do are just devastating
Shit.
emotionally.
Yeah. Yeah, no matter like how good you are at art, how good you are at drawing, and how great your like prep work is, if you've never tattooed a person before and you're kind of dealing with empathy, you're dealing with their face, you're like, oh my God, I'm causing you pain, or you're like, my headphones are about to die. Shit.
Oh no, it's
Um,
okay.
but yeah, so you're just like you're causing someone pain and you can see it in their face and you're thinking, I'm drawing a stupid fucking alien face on it. Is like an alien face on him? Is it worth it? Is this worth the pain? I
Yeah.
think kind of getting over that and then seeing it at the end and looking at it and being like, oh my God, he let me do this.
Yeah, it's just like a full on emotional roller coaster, right?
Yeah,
Going to do it.
yeah. And then kind of
Um,
taking that and being like, you know what, I actually really like this. I want to get better at it. And I want to get kind of like good at it. I want this to be my hobby, doing it every day and kind of realizing that it's calming and it allows me to like focus and zen out. And it's so nice because I have panic attacks and like tattooing is one of the only things that can stop a panic attack. So if I'm like hyperventilating, freaking out, being able to kind of like focus everything on like 1 square centimeter of someone's skin and being like, my main focus is ink and skin, clean lines, perfect. Then I can just spend the next hour with all of my energy on that, not thinking about or not feeling the panic that I was feeling prior. Um,
Wow. So like you have a booking like because I mean you're tattooing all the time and like imagine how much like appointments you have, right? So you're having like an attack and then you go to tattoo someone like you're able to actually like lock in and transcend that.
for the most part, yes, I did one time, and I think about this all the time. Woke up one morning, was having a panic attack. It lasted about 6 hours, and I couldn't get it to stop. I was hyperventilating, thought I was having a heart attack. I had to cancel my appointment because I couldn't get it together. I couldn't get to the shop. Usually, once I was at the shop and starting, it would calm me down. But I like couldn't get myself to the shop, and I remember having to cancel, and I felt so bad because this lovely, lovely girl drove from Texas to get tattooed by me. And I just like woke up and was like, oh, great, I'm having a panic attack. And this girl drove all the way out here and I cannot tattoo her. And so I remember reaching out to her and being like, hey, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm in the midst of a panic attack and I cannot get it together. And I really don't want to tattoo you in this condition because I feel like neither you nor I will be happy with the result. And she was so lovely and kind and understanding. And she was like, no, I totally get it. Please take care of yourself. Like, we'll reschedule. And she ended up coming back out like a month later, but she flew out. And
It's
that was
so
kind of,
crazy.
yeah. And that was kind of like the like inciting incident in that story where I was like, I need to go get I need to talk to somebody. I need to figure this out because I can't survive in a world where I'm constantly having panic attacks. And it's so hard to kind of like know whether I'm going to be able to do something today, like the uncertainty of it. And so, yeah, that was the biggest moment where I was like, yep, I need to do something about this because this can never happen again.
That's crazy, man. The reality of like, I mean, that's what makes tattooing so hard for a lot of people too. You have clients coming from so far away, and it's like the pressure of that alone.
And
You
like trying
know,
not to disappoint them or trying not to like for like just showing up for your appointment is the bare minimum and not being able to get to your appointment because you're having a panic attack is so gut wrenching. And so I felt so bad. I like genuinely, I think about it still to this day and I'm like, oh my God, she drove all the way out there and I
I feel
couldn't
like
get it together.
the life of an artist, like of a tattoo artist, like there's like you're always collecting moments like a magnet, like that you're
Yeah.
dragging through the dirt of like things that will like sit with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You
Things that
just
pop into your
collect
head at
them,
3 in the morning and you're
right?
like, well,
And
great.
you're just like this magnet full of all these awful like, things that have like weigh on your soul. Like that is what it is to be a tattoo artist, though, too. You know, that's what makes it
Yeah.
such a badass thing. You know, what I
Yeah.
mean? That
It's what makes
not
it
everyone can
like
do it.
keeps you on your toes, keeps you going. I've yet to I mean, I've been tattooing for almost like 7 years at this six I don't know, 2018.
But it takes like that pure passion for it. You know what I'm saying? It's like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what it
You
takes.
can't
You know?
half-ass it.
Yeah,
You like if you don't have the love for it and you don't have the passion for it, I don't think you're really going to be able to do much with it.
yeah. It's very self-regulating, right? I just wanted to take a minute to shout out Good Judy. Good Judy is a tattooer owned brand. They do eco tattoo products. So I know Tia is a big fan of Good Judy, and I am too. Now they make the compostable slash biodegradable products. So these are bed sheets, right? And what you see a lot of tattoo artists using these. So like what's great about them is like they're on a roll. So you get to have this incredible like low profile roll. These ones are actually compostable. And then what you see everyone do is you just spray a little liquid down and you lay the bed sheet on and it's like the perfect like cover. And all of Good Judy's products are like that. Tattoo artists use a lot of single-use plastic. Like that's what
I
it
feel
takes
so
to
bad
be
about that.
sanitary.
My
Exactly. It's like
least favorite thing about tattooing.
yeah. Every tattooer is like you're like all of this single-use plastic. It's
Yeah.
so much, right? And that it's really cool that you have Good Judy out there actually like really working on their impact and making a lot of products that are literally not single use but still are sanitary products. So I want to hear where things switched over, right?
So, where was I? I think at this point I was like tattooing at night.
Yeah, so
Um,
you literally were just spent months practicing
mhm,
tattooing at home after work.
pretty much, yeah.
And
And then
but what so you had to make the dive. You
yeah.
this everyone talks about you make the jump. There is no becoming a tattoo artist without doing the scary thing, which
Oh
is
yeah,
quitting
yeah.
your
And
job, right?
I remember, well, that actually took quite a while because I remember for it took almost a year, I think, maybe a little bit over a year for me to quit my job. But it got to the point where I was tattooing consistently almost every night, 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. and also on weekends in the mornings. And it got to the point where I had appointments
Wait, what do you
just
mean mornings?
like I didn't want to spend all of my time working, so I gave myself mornings to tattoo on weekends and then just the day off otherwise. So I would tattoo pretty much
Okay.
Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. to 1 a.m., Saturday, Sunday, like 11 a.m. on both of those days. Um, and essentially, I was looking at my calendar one day and I saw that I had like 3 months of appointments just booked already.
I guess also you hit this point where you're like, well, it doesn't feel worth it to go to work when the money isn't worth it. You're like,
Yeah,
well, why am I
yeah,
actually going? Because like
yeah.
I could just call off because who cares? Like,
Right. And I mean, I did like my boss at the time knew that I was teaching myself to tattoo, and he was like, "Oh, that's cool. Like free time, hobby, yay! Like as long as you're done with all your work." And then eventually, I was like, you know what? I'm booked up for 3 months. I at least have 3 months of work coming, and I'm still booking. So like, I'm gonna try and quit this job, see if I can make it work, see how it happens. And then I think the scary thing about that, honestly, that making the jump is trying to figure out how you're going to sustain yourself in LA of all places and
right.
how to
Like you
figure
have
out
bookings now, but you don't know what's going to happen.
exactly. And you need to figure out all the logistics of like health insurance, car insurance, all of the things that you have to pay for and you don't have a choice. And so figuring out like how much that is going to be per month, how much your rent is going to be, all that kind of stuff, and then figuring out how many tattoos you need to do and able to do that, kind of breaking down the cost per tattoo, all of the equipment you're going to use. And so there was this moment where I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Um, and then Ash made me a spreadsheet pretty much. And she was like, okay, here's a spreadsheet. This is how many tattoos you have to do in order to be making the same amount of money that you are from your full-time job. And this is how much you need to be working in order to kind of like make more than that. And it was kind of a push that I needed because I was able to see all of the data in a graph and know, you know what, actually, if I do quit my job, I would have to do this bare minimum to even out. And I can do that. And then kind of the goal is to just go from there.
That's incredible. Like, let this be a lesson to all, like, whether new tattoo artists or like, even if it's your first few years or aspiring, like, starting with a spreadsheet is a really big deal. Like, just like, that's how every startup is supposed to start. And like, you
Mhm.
can backdate it. You could have already been working, but like, at some
Yeah,
point,
yeah,
getting a
yeah.
spreadsheet that is just like, this is how much I spent on tattoo supplies and being able to like on a Google Sheets, like, tally that up and then tally up, I
Yeah,
made this much on tattoos and then this is what my rent was.
exactly.
If you
You
don't
need
have
to
to put
know.
everything, like
Yeah,
I think as a beginner, like it's just good to have that.
totally. It
Like
was, I mean, it was like what I needed to kind of like make that jump.
it
Otherwise,
helped you.
without it, I don't think I would have been able to do it because it was like this abstract idea in my head and seeing it in like physical numbers and concrete information. I was like, this is possible. I can do this.
No way. So
Um,
actually having like making a spreadsheet with like what like your expenses were, what how much you had to make was like helped you
so
do the
helpful.
scary thing.
Yeah, it was so helpful because I was like holding on to my job for so long, thinking like, oh, tattoo is completely unsustainable to do as like a career. And I was exhausting myself. And they got to the point where like I was living and breathing work and tattoo. And otherwise I had not a second to myself. I'd wake up, work, tattoo, sleep, and then just kind of do it over. And I got to a point where I was like, this isn't sustainable. I'm going to end up hating one or the other. And it slowly became the job until I was like, you know what? I can quit this and I'm just going to focus and give 110% into tattooing. And obviously, with my family and their kind of like ideals, they weren't super stoked about the idea of me quitting a job that I'd spent 4 years in university for to essentially scratch people's skin.
Yeah. No, that's so funny. The yeah, because you're like you got to promote online too, so they saw like you're not gonna see it, right? You're
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm a full-time tattoo artist now.
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
good?
yeah.
And the fam's like, hey, I
They
seen your
they've come
post
miles.
today.
Yeah, no, they've come miles. It started with, oh, I see you're doing this, to I think it took, I've actually tattooed my dad.
I always say like that is like the graduating Harvard of a celebrity
Yes.
scratcher.
Yeah, tattooing their parent, tattooing their like relatively conservative parent. I feel like this is my dad's one and only tattoo to this day. He actually only got it so that he could tell people that his daughter didn't. I don't think he particularly loves it. I say
Same
that
with my
knowing,
mom. I did my mom's one and
yeah,
only tattoo.
yeah, that's awesome. It's such
Yeah.
a nice little like pride thing where you're like, you know what, I've actually tattooed my dad, who initially when I first started getting tattoos was like, absolutely not. This is like,
Oh, when my mom's seen I had tattoos,
yeah, and
like
you're like blasted, so.
yeah, like I got like a sleeve pretty much like in one, like within a few days, like most of a sleeve. And I remember the first time she seen it, she literally went pale. It was like a cartoon. She went pale, like all the blood just drained on her face. She was like,
Yeah.
and like no words, you know what I mean?
I when I showed this was my first tattoo. It was this tiny little thing. And I did it kind of like to ease into it because I didn't want to essentially do what you did and get like a full sleeve and be like, "Hello, I have a sleeve now." So I got this little thing just to kind of like ease into it and check. And I remember, um, slight trigger warning. I remember when I talked to my mom about this, I showed it to her and she was crying and she said, "It's like watching my daughter get raped." And I was like,
Oh my God. How could she say that?
I genuinely
You
was like,
tattooed yourself.
I'm like, what are you talking about? Uh, and it took years. Now both my parents super supportive. My mom is always like liking all my shit on Instagram. She's like, I put a like on it. I loved it. Your design was beautiful. I'm like, thanks,
That's one of the most epic things I've ever heard someone say about like
dude.
getting a tattoo.
I think about that still maybe once a week,
Oh my
and
God.
it like blows my like just the way that she's associated that because I mean she like we grew up religious relatively, and so in
Mm.
her head she's like God created this perfection. Your body, your blah 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 was created for in God's image, like all that kind of stuff. And she's like, and you're ruining it. You're tainting it. You're doing all of these things. And now it's been many, many years since I started getting tattoos. It's been like over 12 years at this point. And every time I get a new tattoo, my mom's like, "Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a new one.
That's a new one.
That's a
I
new
see you
one.
got, oh yeah, check out my new tattoo. Yeah, you got a tattoo.
That's new."
That's a tattoo. Hell yeah. You know,
She
you bring
does.
up a good point though about, well, I'll just interject real quick. I just, you bring up a good point about the extremist sort of fundamental religion, right? So,
Yeah.
and seeing tattoo as like sacrilegious or, you know what I mean? It's disfiguring, right?
Right.
Well, to put this in perspective, in America, you see a lot of traditional tattoo artists really hating on new styles, and why are they so worked up about it? Well, we have religious extremists. You know, a lot of these people
Right.
are hyper conservative, they're
Yep.
hyper religious. You know, and they have really strong beliefs, and they're hyper conservative. They only believe in traditional tattoo or styles they approve of, realism or whatever,
Yeah.
right? And when they see someone doing a different style,
They
they
don't
literally
understand it.
well, they see it as disfiguring people. So they literally think of it as you're someone causing harm out there, causing harm to people, disfiguring them.
Hmm.
And that's why they reply so extreme, because like they literally are like, this person needs to be taken down
Yeah.
because they're like a criminal. They're out there doing this awful thing, actually like harming people. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how they feel about it.
Yeah.
But it's easy to like not realize that that is fundamentalism, like that is extremism, that is
Yeah.
like, you know, that it's the same thing when we look at, you know, images of that kind of stuff online.
Totally.
It's just in America. But
And times are changing too. It's really nice to kind of see that that mentality is being somewhat phased out. I feel like there's still kind of a level of elitism in tattooing. But it is kind of nice that that's kind of like phasing out a little bit. And it's nice that like scratchers are kind of like proving their capabilities and showing the world up and being like, you know what, like we can do everything that you can do for the most part, like we're self-taught, yeah, but like we have so much passion. We've been working so hard that I don't know. I feel like sometimes we do things more carefully, more intentional.
Oh, for sure. And ultimately, though, it's the people because there's only so many tattoo artists in the world.
Right.
There's a lot more clients than there are tattoo artists. And, it doesn't really matter what even with the art style or what the person doing it is. It's like, who's getting the tattoos and what are their values,
Exactly.
So
I mean,
if you
that's the
have
most important thing.
if you have like millions and millions of people around the world are getting these new styles, getting aesthetics tattooed instead of objects, getting like a contemporary or abstract instead of like going to get like a specific traditional
Yeah,
flash
yeah,
design.
exactly. Yeah.
Ultimately, and then these are people who are like, I actually don't like the vibe of the walk-in shop of like,
Yeah.
the loud music or like the environment. They want something else. So it's like ultimately that is what is going to control the industry always.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, just people are what make the industry. People are what change it. People are kind of what make it more modern and different.
Right. And if you have like this culture of like that's rooted in, like nationalism and stuff, um, it's held strong for hundreds of years, but it ultimately can't last forever. And you
Yeah,
have a newer generation of people that are just like,
taking
um,
over.
right. They just don't like that energy. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
they want something more wholesome. This newest generation of clients is the most sober generation in like a
No,
hundred
it's
years.
great. Yeah, it's super interesting too to kind of see how like it's become entirely more a form of self-expressionism rather than like a trade. I feel like when tattooing first kind of rose into popularity, it became more of a trade where like people would come up to you with an idea and exactly what they wanted, and you were basically just the machine to transfer what they wanted exactly as is to their body. And I feel like tattooing has become far more of like a collaboration and self-expressionism and like you specifically going to a specific person because you know that they can do the thing that you like rather than just going to anybody who's in a tattoo shop and being like, you possess the skills to tattoo, therefore you can do whatever.
Yeah.
So
No, that's a good point. And I think a lot of it has to do with education. So, when you have someone who's like 16, 17, 18, they've had access to, an incredible knowledge database, their entire lives that I've never had access to. I didn't have access to education until like my late 20s. You know what I mean? I
right,
lived in rural America and I just didn't have much. I didn't know anything because I didn't have access. But the younger generation is able to, they know there's other ways to do things. They're educated so they know they don't have to deal with things they don't want to. They can go somewhere
right.
where it's more wholesome. They can go somewhere. So, um, I attribute a lot of it to that. Just, that's why I advocate for education
Yeah,
ultimately.
I mean, this is
Client
the most important
education.
thing.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So you finally quit your job where you just like, did you do the I quit text or was it
Yeah,
special or
I
was it like, fuck you, I
genuinely
quit?
I thought about being like, fuck you, I quit, all of that kind of shit. But I also realized that ultimately, I mean, and you never want to be on anyone's like bad side. You don't want to burn any bridges. And I didn't. It was like a mutual respect thing. I was like, I appreciate it all the time. And it's not that I'm leaving for another job that does the exact same thing. Like I'm completely pivoting. I'm doing this thing. I'm following a passion of mine. And so I think it was fairly amicable. And my boss at the time was like, yeah, wish you the best of luck. Keep us posted and that kind of stuff, which was really nice because it is kind of like it was a fear of mine to be like, all right, I'm done, go fuck yourself, and then them being like, fuck you too, then.
Right. I mean, I'm sure you go to type it up and you like go to actually do it and you're like, hey, you know what? Like what you learn is, and a lot of people learn is ultimately you get like, if you're putting out negativity into the world, like you can
Yeah,
expect it back. Like
exactly. And I didn't want to
it's
do that.
right. Like it's simple math. It's ultimately, it's like, if like, that's why I see like a lot of people like leaving hate comments and stuff like that. And it's like, honestly, it doesn't benefit you. Like what benefits you is to put out positivity,
Yeah,
and because that's what you can expect in return. It's like on a fundamental level. I'm not saying like it's a perfect system, but just in general
yeah.
rule.
I mean, yeah, just a general. That's a big thing that my family actually believes in is like put in good to the world, and you should get good in return. And then maybe it's not an instant gratification situation, but like generally, if you are putting negativity into this world, odds are you're probably going to receive negativity back.
Right. It's like best practice. It's the way I see it is like, I see it like more mathematical, like I'm trying to control percentages and every, like, nothing's predictable, but
Mhm.
I can like curve the odds. I can like manipulate the odds in my favor and make a percent chance of something good coming my way, like 1 or 2% more likely by in general, like not being a shitty person,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's awesome. So like, how's the pandemic fit into this? Like, when did that happen? Like, in your tattooing
I
career, was it before or after you went full time?
It was, I went full time actually. I mean, when did the pandemic technically end is the thing. I feel like
Yeah,
it
it didn't
was,
actually.
yeah,
I
it's
just meant like,
there.
let's just say I count it. Let's say first quarantine. Like the
Yeah, so
first
I,
quarantine was like February. When was like February 2020,
okay,
something
so
like
it was
that.
definitely after that. I ended up quitting to tattoo full time. 2021? No,
Something.
end of 2020, I think. It was like
Yeah.
end of 2020 because there was all the pandemic stuff going on. And then I was like working from home. So I had a lot of time to tattoo. And then eventually I was like, you know what? This is the time I'm gonna quit.
So
Um,
you wanted to do the movie industry, but it feels like you never really got anywhere with it. It feels like you didn't get the
yeah.
opportunities.
Well, I didn't get
Like,
what I wanted out of it, is the thing. I feel like I wanted this creative outlet. I wanted to have a creative job, but really what it ended up being was just a lot of like admin stuff. And I had there was no creativity. Like it wasn't my work. It wasn't my ideas. I was essentially like working on other people's stuff, which is totally fine if you feel strongly about their ideas. And if you don't, then it's just a means to an end.
was that where you left off? Was being an assistant at like a
No,
creative agency or?
the last thing I was doing was I was working in the camera department. Um, and so I was working on sets like focus pulling, which I genuinely enjoyed. It has a similar kind of like focus to tattooing where you have to like put your energy into focusing on a specific thing and making sure that you're kind of getting that result, which was kind of nice, like having something to focus on. But it, I mentioned it kind of earlier, it was a bit of a boys' club. I didn't really feel like they were very welcoming or like I didn't feel like I belonged. And then
You
it felt
can
like I
lean
was just,
into it. Like, tell me more. Like, I've heard some crazy stories, like in the movie industry, Hollywood. Like there's some industries where it's like just the VFX industry, right? It's like you have like men in their 50s pretty much dominate every studio. Every
yeah.
studio has some man, and he like talks crazy. They'll use slurs. They'll
Hmm.
talk crazy to women, and they're the only people who have those jobs, and they're only hiring people who are like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I
there's a
mean,
lot of
to a certain extent, that was kind of like being phased out-ish. However, it was still very much not inclusive to the point where like the best way that I can describe it, because I never went to school in the States, is when you watch movies and there's like high school cliques and shit, super clicky, very, very clicky. And so like the camera department is its own little clique, and they refuse to kind of like bring you into that. So essentially, you're just like this loner doing all of these things by yourselves, and every time you try to break in, it's like the boys' club, and they won't include you. That's kind of like that's not the reason I ended up, kind of quitting. That was just like little.
mhm.
I wouldn't say that quitting is necessarily what I did because I do strongly believe that maybe down the line I'll get back into film.
Sure.
I've always loved it. I'll always love it. But it just wasn't I wasn't making enough money from it to sustain myself, and
Yeah.
there wasn't any kind of like enjoyment in doing these things. And so I think maybe down the line, who knows, 10, 15, 20 years from now, if and when I've saved up enough money, maybe I'll produce my own things. Maybe I'll write my own stuff and then be able to kind of focus all of my energy on like my own work.
Well, you made a bunch of dives. You made a bunch of dives. Like, you came to the US, you applied to the school, you had to take the dive to tell your parents or let them find out. You had to take the
Yeah.
dive to actually coming here. You had to take the dive to taking on an internship in a new place.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean,
you had to make the dive to tattoo full time. You didn't know how it was going to work out, you
I
know?
think Lebanese people are super resilient, honestly. I think Lebanese people really don't let kind of like fear or new things kind of stand in their way.
You've always made it
And
look pretty easy. You know what I mean? Like, you've always like it seems casual. You know what I'm saying? For me, I'm like, this is the moment, life or death,
yeah.
like that you took the leap. You know what I mean? But you were just like, yeah, it's just,
Oh, I feel like
Did
it always seems casual when you're retelling the stories, but obviously there's like moments where I just laid awake in bed being like, am I throwing my life away? Is this like a bad idea? Is this
yeah,
like
you
gonna
said it.
bite
You're
me in the
second
ass?
guessing it, even while you're doing a
Yeah.
tattoo. Every time you go to do a tattoo,
Yeah, you're like, is it worth it? Is it worth
like
it?
every time I go to tattoo, I'm just like the first few minutes, you're like you forget how hard it is every time. I feel like
Yeah.
it's crazy intense.
It is, I mean, it is crazy intense. It's this permanent thing that you're doing on somebody. Um,
But after 3 minutes, I'm locked in. I'm like, I
oh yeah,
love
totally.
this.
After
Yeah,
like
yeah.
2 minutes, once you kind
Right.
of like break the skin and you're officially like doing it, you're like, there's
Yeah.
no going back. I've started this and it has to be incredible.
Yeah, it's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So yeah, dude, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It's been really cool. For anyone watching, you can follow Tia at Delicate Squash on Instagram and TikTok. Check out your amazing reels. I think you're very innovative with the content you make, your videos.
Thank you.
You definitely are always surprising me with some of the ideas you come up with, especially
I
for
will
like comedy
say
reels and stuff.
they're always ridiculous. Every time I do them, I'm like, this is stupid. This is gonna be stupid. And then I do it and I'm just giggling to myself. I'm like, all right, I have to post this.
That's great. Yeah, because that's a good point too. It never is going to feel great usually. Like a
Yeah.
lot of times, yeah. Um, yeah, you
Not to
definitely.
not to like taint the idea, but sometimes it kind of feels like I'm whoring myself out where I'm like, I don't particularly want to do this, but I think it's funny and I feel like other people are gonna think it's funny. And so if I just go full send, then hopefully it's
It's fun. I mean,
accepted.
I always advocate for this too. Like marketing as part of the tattoo industry has always been like the early, like
Mhm.
even in the mid 1700s, tattooers were out on the street with a flash sheet, yelling at sailors, yelling at people, being like, "Come get tattooed." They would like literally like they would have to get on ships. Like you would imagine like you walk out onto the street right now, like you're in Cape Town, right? Like you walk
No,
out
I'm
there
in, yeah,
and like you walk out and there's like a ship pulled up in a port. Like let's say you go to the like go to the ocean and there's like a port and you just hop on a ship because you're like, well, these are the only 3 tattoo bookings I'm going to get in the next 2 months. So you literally
for yeah,
hop on a ship and follow the sailors around to tattoo them. Like that's what it meant to be a tattoo artist.
yeah.
Like, you know what I'm
In a
saying?
way, still
Like
still kind of like that.
exactly, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is like, there's the marketing's part of the gig, man. You can't just do it without that. Um, so yeah, I think that's great though. You take the dive. I think, I'd love to like see like original IP. Like, are you going to make some, like, this is the era of vertical shorts and web series. There's a lot of people are starting to do an original web series that you shoot on your phone.
Right.
Like, have you watched any vertical shorts, vertical dramas? You know what I'm talking about?
I have. I don't. I'm actually. This is what we're doing right now is a little bit out of my comfort zone. Just kind of like
Yeah.
me being the focus of it rather than like
You
the
like being
art
behind the
or
lens.
yeah, and it's not something that like I normally look forward to. It's not something that I like really
Well, what about designing and
consider.
filming though, like behind the camera kind of thing? Like
Behind the camera is great. I love doing
you,
that kind of
you
stuff.
like reality TV?
No.
No, you don't like any reality television, American reality TV. You're hard no, hard pass. What about Nathan Fielder? What about like
Oh
rehearsal?
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
You like
I
the rehearsal?
Nathan I do like the rehearsal. I like Nathan Fielder. I like that kind of stuff, like
I'm
that kind of comedy.
interested in like, okay, the shop owners and shop like and resident artists are always like friendships are getting ruined all the time. They're always
Oh, the
conflict.
dramas,
Right.
yeah.
Well, because like maybe the resident forgot to pay and then the owner is like they're friends and then they don't get paid. And then the residents feel like, well, hey, you're not keeping the stuff stocked and then friendships are destroyed. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And it doesn't happen at Proud of You, right? Because they keep everything
No,
stocked, but and there's always someone there open
the
to
only
close,
reason.
right? Probably because this happens to everybody. But I was like, okay, what if I know people who I know the resident, I know the owner, and like I
Hmm.
go film a thing and it's role playing, and I actually have the real people like they had the thing, but they have scripts, and I'll
Right,
have like the resident and the owner like doing a bit, right? Where they're like, it's over the beef,
right, right, right,
but it's the same people that the thing actually happened, but they're reading my script kind of
right.
thing. Like that's like the rehearsal, right? I
Yeah.
just think like doing bits like that could be really healing for the industry. I'm just interested in other people who are interested in filming and directing. Um, you know,
Yeah. I mean, I'm always happy to just be behind the camera, not
well,
in the
as
studio.
a creator and someone who's interested in film, I'd love to hear in the future if you got any ideas and you want to start filming stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you can do it on your phone now because this is that era. So definitely let me know.
Great.
Yeah, because I think that's what it's all about. So, but anyway, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to the
Dude,
Underground Tattoo
yeah.
Podcast. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank
Shout
you
out
for having
Substack.
me.
This is going out to YouTube. You can watch this on YouTube, the full video, horizontal, reframed with audio and video retouched. And you can catch this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts. So, it's incredible that the work they're doing there. Shout out Zach and the Substack team. This is huge. Also, like for us having access to that here in LA is incredible because it's
Yeah.
not available to the rest. You know, they're not rolling that out yet. So, um, just a little preview of what's possible. And yeah. Lastly, just stay tough and keep your head up. All
Yeah.
right.
Thanks for having me, Ross. It was
Hell
good
yeah.
talking to you.
All right. Much love. All right. Catch you later.